This girl right here is called Megami Mikoto. I first met her in the summer of third grade. Ever since then, we've always been together. By the way, the timid-looking kid on the left is me. My name is Huckabone Takes. Back in elementary school, Mikoto was full of energy, always cheerful and bright. She was always optimistic, pulling me forward no matter what. Even back then, she was all I could think about. To me, Mikoto was like the sun itself, shining with bright light. Once she got to middle school, Mikoto became even more amazing, beautiful, outgoing, top of her class in both academics and athletics. She shone so brightly it was almost blinding. But once we entered high school, as we observed the high school, the main character, was sitting there thinking, good job surviving today's class. Time to get home, I guess. Suddenly, someone tugged me from behind. I looked back, and it was none other than Mikoto. She said, "Hey, do you want to go home together? Or is that a no?" She was very timid, shy, or more like scared, asking this. She clung to my shirt, saying, "Maybe you wouldn't want to walk home with someone like me, after all, right?" Mikoto started acting strange. I assured her, saying, "No, not at all. I'm perfectly fine with it." Her personality had completely flipped, so much so that I wondered if she was even the same person as before. With fear in her eyes, she timidly asked, "Really? Am I not a bother? Am I not a burden to you?" I said to her, "I mean it. I really don't think that. Come on, let's go home together, okay?" She was joyful, almost sparkling, as she said, "Okay, I'm so glad." Even for me, the main character, it's kind of hard to describe, but the atmosphere felt almost heavy. She asked again, mumbling things as if she couldn't get it out of her mind. She was startled for a moment, but then somehow said, after this, I was thinking we could play games together like last time. It was really fun. Looking at her mumbling all these words, I said, "Oh, Mikoto, you want to come over and play games again? We can continue where we left off. It's no big deal." She nodded gracefully. We've been childhood friends, so we've spent time together playing games ever since we were kids. Even now, we still hang out like this, playing games and stuff. She won, and I, the main character, asked her to play one more round. She won again, and I felt a bit grumpy. She glanced at me, and I was startled. With a blush, she said, "Loser, loser. Are you frustrated?" I was a bit blunt about my expressions, thinking, oh, that's right. She's always been good at everything. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever beaten her in a game before. Well, for me, it's whatever. I took a quick break and sighed a breath of relief. I glanced at her and said, "Hey, Mikoto, I'm going to grab a drink real quick." She came quite close to me, with sweat on her face. Her frustration was evident. I said, "Wait, I didn't mean it, just now, whatever I said." I was a bit scared because she was so close. She tried to justify her actions, saying, "I wasn't making fun of you or anything, but I still upset you. Didn't I? I'm really sorry, okay? Please, don't start hating me, okay?" I, who was startled, or more like scared of this side of her, said, "Okay." The biggest thing that changed about Mikoto is that now she's absolutely terrified of being hated by me. She said, "Oh, all right. Is there anything you want me to do? I'll do anything to make it up to you. Please, let me do something." I said, "Well then, I'm kind of thirsty, so could you please grab me a drink or something?" I thought it was honestly to the point of being pathological. She was relieved, saying, "Got it. Leave it to me. Hee hee, I'm going to be useful. Just wait for me, okay?" As she left the room, I thought, there's no way I could ever hate Mikoto. The reason for that is, as I observed, she was taking a lot of time. I glanced at the door, and there she was. I called out, "Oh, there you are, huh, Mikoto? Where's the drink?" She was speechless for a moment, but then almost teared up as she said, "I'm messed up." I looked at the glass. It was filled to the brim. She poured so much, but couldn't carry it. "What the heck are you doing?" I said. Crying, she said, "But I just wanted you to have lots to drink," and tried to justify her actions. I thought, the reason I can't hate her is because, even with all that, she's just way too cute. Now the scene shifts to the classroom. I said, "I wonder if they still have any of that sozai bread left at the store. By the way, that bread is a type of Japanese bread with toppings or fillings that acts as a meal." Someone noticed me as a girl came close. This was none other than our class representative. She said, "You still haven't turned in the cultural festival feedback survey yet, have you?" I thought, now that you mention it, where did I put that again? She said, "Hurry it up, please." I noticed Mikoto watching all of this from the end of the class. I realized something, thinking Mikoto's staring right at me. This is one of her traits. Whenever I'm talking to another girl, she gets extremely anxious about it. I thought about how I have to make sure I don't make Mikoto even more anxious, but how? Suddenly, an idea popped in my mind, and I smiled. I thought, I just got it. I just need to make it clear that I have absolutely no interest in this conversation with the representative. I looked at her. She was confused. I thought, forgive me, class representative, but I'm the kind of man who's willing to be cruel for Mikoto's sake. I started to act nonchalantly, saying, "Sigh, what a pain. If I find a paper, I'll just scribble whatever and turn it in." The class representative replied, "Yes, whatever, that's fine." I couldn't be bothered with it either. I thought, you're the class rep. You're supposed to be angry and tell me to take this seriously. My good nature made me pretty bad at acting cruel, but then I suddenly realized something. I looked back and saw, oh man, Mikoto's coming this way. I was terrified, thinking this is bad. If this continues, Mikoto's probably going to cry, saying, "You're so mean. You don't care about me at all." In my imagination, I thought, it's over. If I ever made Mikoto cry, I'd never recover. Someone asked, "Hey, are you feeling okay? You look quite pale." I thought, what do I do? As Mikoto was just behind me. The class representative noticed her staring and said, "Hey, aren't you Megami-san?" Mikoto didn't expect to be called out, that I thought. What's that? The class representative knows her well. The class rep looked at her book and said, "You haven't turned in your survey either, isn't that right?" Mikoto clung to me and said, "No, I'm sorry." The rep said, "Both of you," again, just like with the last class discussion meeting. "Seriously, you two really do suit each other." This sentence made Mikoto blush as the class representative left, saying, "Just turn it in by the end of the day. You can figure out together, okay?" Mikoto said, "She said we really do suit each other," and started laughing. I replied, "Haha, I'm at a loss as well." In the end, my worries were all for nothing. Some coughing noises could be heard, and it looked like Mikoto had caught a cold. She thought, since I had to miss school, I feel a bit lonely because I can't see Takase in person. But as she scribbled something on her phone, she laughed, saying, "Since he's more worried about me than usual, he's giving me more attention, which is like a treat for me. I'm kind of happy catching a cold. It's not so bad after all." She blushed even more, thinking, I want even more attention from him. I only have a slight fever, but I'll exaggerate it. Maybe around 41 degrees Celsius sounds good. She sent it. For my American audience, that's about 105.5 degrees Fahrenheit. My phone rang with her message. Who thought? I hope Makoto's okay, saw the message and thought, what? 41 degrees Celsius? That's serious, but 41 degrees Celsius isn't just 41 degrees Celsius. That's a medical emergency. What the hell? On the other side, Mikoto thought, oh, he replied already. He's so quick to answer. As she looked at the reply, I had written, sorry for texting you. You should hang in there. You need rest. She teared up a bit, thinking, wait, our conversation is ending? No, I have to fix this somehow. She wrote, it's not like that. It's not that. The truth is, I'm not feeling hot. It's more like cold. Reading this, I was terrified, thinking, she can't even tell if she's hot or cold anymore. I got up from my desk, saying, this is a life-threatening emergency. Mikoto, hang in there. I'm coming right now. I rushed out of school and sent her a text saying, I'm coming over. She was startled, thinking, oh no, he's really coming over, and I don't even really have a fever. If he finds out I was lying, she imagined me saying, Mikoto, you lied to me, you wild woman. I hate you now. She teared up, thinking he'll hate me now. The doorbell rang, and she thought, he's here already? So fast. In her mind, it was already over. She was done for. She thought, maybe I can at least see his face one last time. As the door opened, I steadily asked, are you okay? What's happening? She was scared but told me everything, saying, The truth is, I don't actually have a high fever. I was just so happy. I cut her off, saying, I see. That's a relief. I really thought you were going to die or something. I'm seriously relieved that you're okay. Hearing these words, she teared up and started crying, saying, Takes. I said, It's okay. In the classroom, we observed her poking me from behind, thinking something, then blushing, smiling, and poking again. As my attention turned to her, she said, It wasn't me, moving her head. I thought, What's that, Mikoto? She said, What are you talking about? It wasn't me. Not all, okay. She laughed. I had a blank mind, knowing, here it comes, Mikoto's pay me attention signal. The fact that she was doing this meant she was in a very good mood today, which in itself was a good thing, but reacting to it felt like losing. She was so ridiculously cute, but I wouldn't react at all. She started poking me again and again. She couldn't understand what was happening and poked more. I tried not to show any emotions. We observed her making a pout. The next second, she said, All right then, closed my eyes with her tiny hand from behind, and said, Guess who? This cute gesture almost made me burst, but I held it in and stayed relentless. After some time, her hands got tired, and she let go of my face. We observed tears welling up in her eyes as she said, Why were you ignoring me this whole time? She hugged me from behind, crying, and said, That's so mean. Is there something about me you don't like? If that's why you're mad, I'll fix it. I'll become the kind of girl who's perfect for you. I'll change everything. I said to Mikoto, That's not it. She looked up, wondering. I said, I was just being stubborn for no reason. I'm sorry, Mikoto, and there's nothing about you I dislike. Not a single thing. So really, I'm sorry, and please don't cry. She was speechless, then started glimmering, tearing up as she said, So, that means you don't hate me? You're not mad at me. I said, Yes, of course not. I thought, I've seen many different sides of Mikoto, but ever since we were kids, I've always been weak to her tears. Once she pulls out that trump card, I don't stand a chance. But I can't deny that I've come to accept that it's also a good part of me. Another day, Mikoto was right behind me. I didn't notice and was rumbling things to myself. I accidentally stopped in my tracks, and Mikoto bumped into my shoulder. I looked back with worry and saw that she was bleeding. She had a nosebleed. She was in a bit of pain, and some streaks of pain came from her mouth. I asked, Mikoto, are you okay? She couldn't understand what I was saying as she was bleeding. We took a good look at Mikoto. It looked like one side of her face was burnt. I said to her, Crap, again because I wasn't careful. I was quite worried. She, who covered half her face with her hair, said, It's fine. I think it just started bleeding easily since it happened last night as well. I got closer to her, fully scared, saying, No, it's my fault. I'll stop the bleeding right away. She said, No, really. We learned that the scar on the right side of her face, which is usually hidden, was something she got during middle school. Mikoto had this strange pull, an almost gravitational force that drew people to her, but what that could attract wasn't always good. Jealousy, resentment, and envy. Those negative emotions slowly ate away at her, and that scar was a result of it. Mikoto wasn't the one to blame. The responsibility is all mine. Back then, I was embarrassed about how I felt about her, so I intentionally distanced myself, even though I noticed something was off, that something strange was happening to her. The reason Mikoto has changed is because I, the closest one to her, didn't protect her. Now, I will protect her before anything else. But for someone like me to confess those feelings to her, that would be far too presumptuous.